And moving on to a Big Ten matchup, ladies and gentlemen. That is right. It's still weird to see Southern Cal in as a Big Ten team. I'm going to be honest with you here. But we've got Iowa and USC at 2:30. Iowa, as we all know and watched last week, was oh so close to beating Oregon. Me and Quinn called that Iowa would win and backdoor the way into the playoffs. That now is not going to happen, unfortunately. However, they have a chance to play spoiler for a team that nobody's talking about that has a real possibility to get into the college football playoffs at 10-2. And that's USC. Now, granted, their schedule, they have Oregon coming up after Iowa, so obviously if they win that game, people are going to be talking about them. But right now, as we speak, not getting a lot of love. Vegas is giving them some love, though. However, they're favored by 6.5 against Iowa, with a 75% chance to win, according to ESPN.
Yeah, man, USC is a really interesting unit. They have their two losses. One is in a non-conference game to Notre Dame, which, as we discussed earlier, is a really good football team. And then their other one is a road trip to Illinois, where they had multiple players miss that game. It's just an awkward spot for
It was a
USC.
2-point loss, too.
Yeah, it was close. It was a last second field goal for Illinois to win the game. USC, it's not out of the realm of possibility. This game's in Southern Cal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not out of the realm of possibility for me to believe that they could take down Oregon. I'm not convinced Oregon's a good team. Like you said, we got on here on Sunday before Herb Street made it vogue to pick Iowa to beat Oregon. We were on here saying Iowa's going to get Oregon in this spot. It just felt like a spot where they could nab the Ducks. And I thought there for a minute when they scored. I mean, yeah, they missed the 2-point conversion, but when they went up 16-15, I was like,
The defense is locking in.
I was like, Freddie, we're genius. Oregon's not going down the field in the rain. Look at us. And then lo and behold, there they go. Right down the field.
Which, by the way, the ESPN app was wrong. They gave Iowa the 2-point conversion, so I was following along with it on my phone. And I was like, oh, they just went up 3. And I was like, okay, bet. Oregon's not going to score a touchdown. They may go to overtime. Turns out 2-point conversion didn't count.
Did they leave it on there after the instant replay? Because what had happened is
it was on there for a while.
Okay, because they called it the successful 2-point conversion, and then when the replay took another look at it, his foot was out of bounds, so it wasn't a completed pass. But man, look, we talked about it with the ACC. It's also happened in the Big Ten. It's hard for these teams to go two time zones over because Iowa's going to go from Central Time. Now, luckily for them, it's not quite as bad with the ACC teams or a handful of the Big Ten teams who are going from the Eastern Time Zone all the way to that Pacific Time Zone. But you're still going 2 time zones over, going from the middle of nowhere in Iowa all the way out to LA. It's going to be a crazy time zone difference. Now, the crowd's not going to be insane because the people in LA are busy caring about the Lakers and the Dodgers, not the USC Trojans. And the Rams this year, they're not doing half bad. But I still think USC is going to get this done here. I think USC is one of those teams that nobody's talking about. Iowa's coming off a tough loss. They're in a tough travel situation, having to go on the road to USC. They're not one of those fan bases like Michigan or Ohio State who are going to travel all the way out to LA and pack the stadium in their own favor. Not that worked for Michigan this year when they did that. Just looking at you, Sharon Moore. But yeah, now give me USC. And again, nobody's talking about that USC win over Michigan. That was a huge win. I think they're going to have another good win here. And then the buzz is going to start popping up around USC as a potential sleeper pick for the playoff if they get it done against Oregon. And I'm curious to see if that's going to kill Oregon in the playoff. We'll see. If USC beats Iowa, and then USC beats Oregon after Washington loses to Wisconsin, what's Oregon's big win? Like, you get to the end of the year and you're arguing for a 10-2 team with wins over no ranked opponents in the CFP committee's final rankings. And while you, Freddie, feel like you should go by what they were ranked as when you play them, that's not how the selection committee does it.
Yeah.
It's not. And so you're going to be looking at it and going, You've beaten nobody who's ranked. Two ranked teams you played beat you. Then USC has to go to Oregon too, don't they?
I believe that is correct.
So in that scenario,
Yes.
you lost those games at home. You lost to your only two ranked opponents at home. I'd be interested to see where the committee gets back into that, but that's down the road. USC, Iowa, give me USC.
Yeah, I'm gonna go USC as well. You outlined it. Yeah, like you're going 2 time zones over. Luckily, it's a 2:30 game. If this is an 11 o'clock game, golly, that's a tough spot to go 2 time zones backwards and then play an 11 o'clock game. I could not imagine doing that. Because I mean, but anyway, um, Iowa. The only thing that gets me about this game though is that defense travels, and Iowa's defense, like you can say what you want to about their offense, which hey, they've scored 30 plus points in multiple games this year. So let's just give it a little clapperooski for that one. But defense travels and minus Notre Dame, and maybe I wouldn't even say Michigan. Minus Notre Dame, this is going to be the best defense the USC's played up to date, I would say, as a whole unit. So I'm more interested to see how Lincoln Riley navigates that when it comes to when they do play Oregon, who has a decent defense. They're not top tier, but they're also not bottom tier in any category. So this could be a tune-up game, and I hate to use that for Iowa because listen, I love Iowa. They're 9-3, 10-2 every single year. And one of these years, they're going to get in the playoffs. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. They're going to backdoor their way into the playoffs. And they're going to give a scare to somebody with their 15-20 loss or their 18-16 loss, just like it happened last week. But that's beside the point. Could use this as a tune-up game for the Oregon game because that is going to be the ultimate test for USC and Lincoln Riley. And listen, man, like, say what you want to about Lincoln Riley. Yes, he's kind of underperformed, but when you look at what USC has, man, like, they're not getting the money that they used to get back when it was illegal. They don't have the advantages like you would think an LA-based team would out in California because they just don't put money into the program. They don't have good attendance at the games, and I think for what Lincoln Riley has at USC, he's done a fairly decent job. And it seems like every year at this point, we're kind of talking about USC potentially making the playoffs. Now, he's got to do it at some point, though. He's got to make the playoffs and get it done. Is that this year? I don't know, but it's got to happen at some point. And I think they are treading in the right direction, sitting here at 7-2. Curious to see where they're going to be ranked in the new committee's rankings. Guys, for those of you who don't know, we record this before the playoff rankings come out, as they come out on Tuesday. So curious to see where they're ranked with 3 or 4 teams ahead of them losing last weekend. So they could be already on the fringe of the 12-team playoff.